Well, thank you very much, Dr. Reed. I think you've got us off to a great start here, raised a lot of issues and got us thinking about lots of different things. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Graham Senft from Stantec Consulting to introduce our next speaker. Graham?
Thank you, Graham, and thank you, Dr. Reed. He's left us with the question, how do we develop our next generation of business leaders? And it's my pleasure to introduce a group of 4 emerging leaders, very talented and dynamic group. And you're going to hear from them about leadership development, what inspires them, why they get up in the morning, why they do what they do, and why they stay with the groups and or the organizations that they're with. But before I do that, I do want to acknowledge someone who has inspired me, and that's Virginia Green. I met her just a few months ago when we were invited to participate in this event, and I was struck immediately by her vision and her passion and her drive and her poise, and just want to acknowledge the vision that she had and the invitation that she extended to us as a group of young leaders at Stantec as we helped put the program together a few months ago. I think I can speak for all of us that had a chance to work with her at Stantec that it was a real pleasure to have met her and to have worked with her for even for a very short time. And I want to again just acknowledge the vision that she had for this event and for continuing and contributing to the dialogue around leadership development. So for this next section, what does the future generation of leaders have to say? The format that we're going to use today is a little bit different. It's something that we had proposed, and Virginia got it right away, I might say. But it's the format is referred to as Pechachka. It's spelled Pechakucha. Some of you may have seen it in writing or have heard of it. If you haven't, you're in for a treat. It was created by or developed by a couple architects in Tokyo a couple years ago. And the challenge they were trying to address, or the issue they were trying to resolve, was the inability of young artists and designers to exhibit their work and their art in a compelling and dynamic and really quick way. And so what it is, it's a series of 20 slides. It is a PowerPoint presentation, but unlike any you will have seen at a typical conference or convention. 20 slides, 20 seconds per slide, and the kicker is the speakers don't control the slides changing. It's already pre-programmed. So they're visually really appealing. The speeches are exactly 6 minutes and 40 seconds long. They have to be. And the speakers have to keep up with themselves. So in 6 minutes and 40 seconds, you'll hear from each of these 4 speakers a little bit about themselves, their careers, how they've developed, what's been important to them, and what they see as important to future generations of leaders. The presentations are very personal. They're deeply authentic. They're richly entertaining, and they're mercifully short. So I hope you enjoy them. It's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, a colleague of mine and a fellow member of the Stantec Leadership Development Group in Vancouver. That's Andrea Pomeroy. She is a wildlife biologist and a team lead in our Burnaby office, and I will turn it over to her.
Thanks, and I've got 400 seconds and I'm a go. There we go. So my name's Andrea. I have 400 seconds to tell you what motivates me about work. And by the end of these 400 seconds, you'll know that it's excellence, opportunity, and people. I started my career at a really young age. I was crazy into bird watching, and my dad was my first mentor. When I was 13, I got to go to a young ornithologist workshop, which was heaven for a kid like me. There I learned there was more to birds than birding. I learned that you could catch them, band them, measure them, and use that data to ask interesting questions about science and the environment. I volunteered there through high school. I did an undergraduate degree at Guelph, and then finally, in 2001, I came to Vancouver to do a PhD studying these guys, Western sandpipers. I had the chance to study them on migration and really take 5 full years to engage on one question of how they make feeding decisions when they're at their stopover sites. Their challenge is to acquire energy for migration while under the threat of falcon predators. Unlucky for them, the best places to feed are in the most dangerous locations. But they make these trade-offs instinctively about risk every day. I thought it was a great thesis. After that, I was lucky enough to go to Alaska, where I spent 2 months studying another shorebird. This guy feeds on mudflats for 2 months straight and doubles its body size. They get really incredibly chunky. One day, when the time is right and the right wind hits, they fly from Alaska nonstop to Australia. I was blown away by science. I was on an academic track, and my next stop, because I was interested in applied ecology, was an industrial postdoc at Stantec. There I was studying how migrating birds might be affected by wind farm development. I landed at the Doki Wind Farm project, which was one of the first wind developments in BC. Wind in BC has been really challenging to develop, and it's because we're trying to do these developments in crazily challenging environments, from an engineering perspective and an environment perspective. The winds that we want to harness energy from are also the winds that birds use on migration. One of the key questions was how birds like raptors, who have difficulty maneuvering very quickly because they have such large bodies, might interact with wind turbines on these landscapes. So the science was fascinating, the questions were incredible, but more and more as I started working on this team, I started getting interested in people. This was a great project and we had an awesome team on it. Everyone wanted to work on it on the office. We were collaborating with the university, and we really upped our game in terms of collecting really high quality data to support the university and the industry research. These guys were all interested in science, and I had an opportunity to mentor them on it. Working for a company like Stantec means working on really cool projects like this. I was on the ground the day that the first wind turbine went up in British Columbia, and it was amazing. It was snowy and cloudy and foggy, but the experience just completely blew me away. I was hooked in consulting. I loved the teamwork, working with clients and working with the team. All the technology and equipment that it takes to put a turbine up culminates at the last moment when these 7 guys actually pick up a rope and guide the last blade into place. It's a pretty incredible thing to watch. So the Doki Wind Project started producing energy last week. Congratulations to Platonic and GE in getting this amazing thing going. For me, it was an incredible career opportunity. I love working on this project, and my supervisors have been giving me just the right amount of freedom and mentorship to move my career forward. The hardest career ladder to climb was this one. It's an 80-meter climb to the top of this tower, but I did it and it was awesome. And I'm there alone, but you can see I have supports. And this is the kind of support that I got from my team at Stantec, the leaders who have helped guide me along the way. Stantec as a company has a great leadership model, and it's one of balanced leadership. Everyone in the company has 2 supervisors, one who specializes in the practice area and one who's a people manager. In many companies, I think technical people are promoted into management of people because it's the only way forward. A company like Stantec gives me a defined career path to grow my technical career, become a scientist, stay a scientist, be an expert scientist, and still be able to be at the same level of career growth as some of those people managers. In Vancouver, Stantec has a really innovative young leaders group. This is us. We're 13 people, and this is the most talented group of people I've ever worked with. They really inspire me, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with them. We've been working on a number of initiatives, both within our office to try to address gaps that we see in communication, try to help people in different disciplines work more closely together, and we've been also able to be involved in events like this with the Business Council. This gave me an opportunity to meet Virginia Green, and I will always be grateful for that. Emily Dunlop is one of the folks on our team, on our leadership group, and she said, "We have a vested interest in the success of our peers." That's my new motto, and I never realized it before, that it's not necessarily a competition. When everyone on our team succeeds, I succeed. This is the youngest swimmer to cross Lake Ontario, and you can't see it, but next to her is a boat filled with her support team. This lets her swim until her last breath, knowing that she's got the support of people beside her. That's how I feel like I've been mentored in my career. So looking forward at the future, at my future in the company, at the future of career development for young leaders, I see limitless opportunities. Companies that can challenge us and keep the ball rolling are companies where we'll invest our time and our energy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Andrea.